In the beginning, there was nothing but an endless, formless void. It was as if the universe was a deep, bottomless well, with no light to guide us, no sound to soothe our ears, and no life to stir our hearts. This was chaos, the first state of existence, the primordial abyss, from which all things would eventually emerge. I remember it as a time of complete stillness, a silence so profound that it was almost palpable. As I look back on those early days, I'm struck by the vastness of that void. Chaos was not a being, but a state of being, the raw material from which the universe would be crafted. It was the infinite, the boundless, the endless expanse of possibility. And after this chaos, the first primordial beings began to emerge. And then somehow, I emerged. I am Gaia, the earth, the foundation of all life. I was the first to take shape, the first to bring order to the void. I was not alone for long, however, as soon after my emergence, two more beings arose. Tartarus, the abyss, and Eros, the embodiment of love and desire. Tartarus, the abyss, the underworld, was a place of darkness and shadow, a void within the void. It was a realm that seemed to stretch on forever, a place where the light of the world could not penetrate. Eros, the embodiment of love and desire, on the other hand, was a force, a power that seemed to drive all creation in. A beautiful, radiant being, he was full of light and warmth, with eyes that seemed to see right through to the heart of the matter. After me and my brothers, another being emerged from chaos. Erebus, the personification of darkness, the ruler of the shadows. It was a shadowy figure, a presence that seemed to fill the space between the earth and the underworld. A force that seemed to emanate from chaos itself. And finally, from chaos, Nyx emerged. She was a beautiful woman, draped in dark robes, a presence that seemed to fill the world with darkness and shadow. Nyx was the personification of night, the ruler of the darkness, the one who brought rest to the world. I, Gaia, am the earth, the land, the soil, the rocks, the mountains, and the valleys. I am the foundation of all life, the source of all nourishment, the womb of all creation. I am the one who brings order to the void, who brings life to the world. But I was not content to simply exist. I wanted to create, to bring life to the world. And so I created the Aurea, the goddess of mountains, and Pontus, the god of the sea, which would bring life to the world. And I created the creatures of the world, the animals and the plants, the ones that would inhabit the earth. But even with all these creations, I felt lonely. I longed for a companion, a friend, a lover. So I created Uranus, the sky, the heavens. He stretched vast and eternal, a solid, unyielding vault adorned with stars like distant cold fires. His presence pressed down upon the earth, with his edges descending to where land and sky converged. He was my companion, my lover, my friend. And he was the one who would eventually bring about my greatest sorrow. Our union brought forth the original line of Titans, 12 sons and 6 daughters, beings of immense power and strength. Among them were Hyperion, the Titan god of light, and Iapetus, the Titan god of mortality. There was also Coeus, the Titan god of intelligence, and Creus, the Titan god of constellations in the heavens. My child, Mnemosyne, was the Titan goddess of memory, language, and words, and the mother of the muses. Oceanus, the Titan god of the river, and Phoebe, the Titan goddess who shone with the light of prophecy, were also part of this first generation. Rhea, the Titan goddess of fertility and mountains, and Tethys, the Titan goddess of rivers and springs, were born from our union as well. Theia, the Titan goddess of divine light, was the mother of Helios, Selene, and Eos, the personifications of the sun, moon, and the dawn. Themis, the Titan goddess of law and order, was the mother of the Moirai, the Fates, and the Horae, the seasons. And of course, the youngest among them was Kronos, the king of the Titan gods, the Titan god of leadership and harvest. Our union did not stop there. I continued to give birth to more children, each one unique and special in their own way. After the Titans, I bore the Cyclopes, 3 giants with 1 eye each, Brontes, Steropes, and Arges. They were mighty beings, but compared to what was to come, they were relatively tame. My next children, the Hecatonchires, were true marvels. These 3 giants, Kotos, Briareos, and Gaius, had 50 heads and 100 hands each. Their appearance was awe-inspiring, and I must admit, I was quite fond of them. Uranus, however, did not share my affection. He gazed upon the Cyclopes and the Hecatonchires with disdain. He saw them as monsters, abominations that defiled the harmony of the universe. His heart, once full of love for me and our creations, now swelled with hatred. He could not comprehend the beauty in their uniqueness, the wonder of their existence. And so he did the unthinkable. He imprisoned them within me, the very womb that had given them life. I, the Mother Earth, felt their pain, their anguish, as they were confined to the darkness of my own body. Uranus rejoiced in his actions, but my heart seethed with a burning desire for vengeance. My mind, once filled with the beauty of creation, had grown dark and vengeful, consumed by the need to punish the one who had wronged me and my children. I called upon my children, the Titans, to gather around me, their faces filled with a mix of curiosity and fear. Though hesitant, I saw in them a growing resolve. My children, the time has come to act against your father Uranus, who has wronged me and oppressed those I bore. He has imprisoned your brothers, the Hecatonchires and the Cyclopes, deep within my womb, denying them the light of day and the freedom to exist, leaving me to bear their suffering in silence. But my words fell on deaf ears. The Titans, my own children, were afraid of their father's power, and they refused to take a stand against him. They whispered among themselves, their voices filled with doubt and fear. I could see the uncertainty in their eyes, but I knew that I couldn't give up, not yet. I had to find a way to convince them this was the only way. But then I saw him, Kronos, my youngest son, his eyes gleaming with a fierce determination. He was different from the others, his heart filled with a dark and brooding energy. He was the only one who seemed to understand me, to share my desire for vengeance. "Mother," he said, his voice low and menacing, "I will do it. I will help you punish father, no matter the cost." In that moment, I knew that I had found my ally, my partner in this quest for justice. But Kronos did not rise alone. 4 of his brothers stood with him, Hyperion, Creus, Coeus, and Iapetos, titans of light, constellations, intellect, and mortality. When the time came, Hyperion, Creos, Coeus, and Iapetos each took their places at the 4 corners of the world, holding Uranus fast as he descended to lie with me. It was in this moment that Kronos struck. With the sickle, he castrated his father, severing the source of his dominion. And then, Uranus lay before us, his body mutilated and his power broken. Kronos stood over him, the sickle still clutched in his hand, a look of triumph on his face. I felt a sense of liberation as I gazed upon the fallen body of my oppressor. But as I looked upon the scene before me, I knew that this was only the beginning. The castration of Uranus was not the end of our story, but only the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter of power, of struggle, and of transformation. As the lifeblood of Uranus mixed with my own, giving birth to a multitude of beings that would shape the fate of our world. My girls, the Furies, were the first to emerge from the blood-soaked earth. Alecto, Tisiphone, and Megaera, the three vengeful goddesses who would roam the earth, seeking retribution for those who had committed heinous crimes against their kin. Their piercing screams still haunt my ears as they took to the skies, their wings beating with an otherworldly fury. They were a force to be reckoned with, and I knew that their existence would be a reminder to all of the consequences of committing such atrocities. From the same blood-soaked earth, the giants rose like behemoths, their massive forms casting long shadows across the land. These monstrous creatures were destined to wreak havoc upon the world, their fury and strength a testament to the unforgiving power of nature. And yet, they were also my children, born of the same earth that nourished them. And then, of course, the castrated parts of Uranus that flew across the land, eventually coming to rest in the sea off the coast of Cyprus. From that foam, a goddess emerged. Aphrodite, the embodiment of love and beauty, rose from the sea like a vision from the depths. Her radiance illuminated the dark waters, casting a warm glow over the world. I could hardly believe my eyes. This, the most beautiful of all the goddesses, had been born from the very essence of violence and chaos. The castration of Uranus marked the end of an era, a time when the sky and earth were intimately connected, and the world was still in its primordial state. Our union had been essential for the birth of creation, but it had also become oppressive, stifling the growth of the world. With Uranus's withdrawal, the sky and earth were separated, creating a space between us that would allow the Titans, Cyclopes, and Hecatoncheires to emerge from my womb. This act of violence had brought about change, evolution, and the establishment of a divine hierarchy. The world was no longer a chaotic, formless mass, but a realm of order and structure. And I, Gaia, was no longer bound to Uranus, free to forge my own path in the world. As the Titans, led by Cronus, rose to power, the world entered a golden age of prosperity, peace, and abundance. But as the Titans began their reign, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Cronus, the leader of the Titans, was a just ruler, but I knew that he was haunted by the prophecy of his father's downfall. The fear of being overthrown by his own children drove him to madness, and I knew that the peace and prosperity of the Golden Age would not last forever. But that is a story for another time.